Well, way up high in the Teton Range where the mountain grass grows tall, old Buster Jiggs and Sandy Bob had a roundup camp last fall. They taken their hosses and branding irons and maybe a dog or two, and they vowed they'd brand every long-eared calf that come within their view. So any old dogie of flapping long ears that didn't brush up by day got his long ears whittled and his calf hide scorched in a most artistic way. Well, one fine day old Sandy Bob, he throwed his branding iron down. He said, "I'm sick of the smell of burning hair, I'm headed into town." So they saddled up and they spurred to a lope in a race to get there first. They swore they'd hit every last saloon, for they had a powerful thirst. Well, they started in at the Cowboy bar just off the old town square. They worked their way to the Virginian saloon, and they was on a tear. Well, after 40-odd drinks, they turned around and headed the other way. I tell you folks the awful truth, them boys got plastered that day. Well, when they finally started back toward camp, they was packing a powerful load, when who should they meet but the devil himself a-prancing down the road. Says he, "You ornery cowboy skunks, you better be hunting your holes, 'cause I've come up from Hell's Rim Rock to gather in your souls." Says Sandy Bob, "Well, devil be damned, we may be a little bit tight, but you ain't getting no cowboy souls without one hell of a fight." So he punched a hole in his lariat, and he swung it straight and true, and he lapped it on the devil's horns, and he taken his dallies too. Now Buster Jiggs was the healer man with his rope coiled up neat, and he shook it out and built him a loop, and he lassoed the devil's hind feet. Well, they stretched him out and they tailed him down while the irons was a-getting hot. Then they cropped and swallow forked his ears and branded him up a lot. Then they pruned him up with a dehorning saw and knotted his tail for a joke, and then rode off and left him there, neck to a blackjack oak. So if you're ever up in the Teton Range and you hear a mournful wail, you can bet it's the devil hisself a-howling about them knots in his tail. Now to Jackson Hole came some folks who are one with nature, or so they say. No human impact on the environment is the creed they follow every day. No hunting of critters, no grazing of cattle, no drilling for oil or some causes for which they battle. No gas-guzzling cars, clean air is their goal, and far worse than all is the burning of coal. Protect the wolf and the grizzly bear till the elk and the moose are getting quite rare. So children of nature they are proud to be, they worship a wolf and they hug a tree. Well, these folks went hiking up in the Teton Range, and they heard a mournful wail which sounded mighty strange. They found this poor creature tied to a tree. They were moved with compassion, so they set him free. They salved up his burns and doctored his ears. His pitiful condition moved them to tears. They unknotted his tail, which had been tied for a joke, and they gave him water to drink, and he finally spoke. "Why, you're my kind of folks," he said with a grin. "By your words and your deeds, I believe we are kin. To save a small owl, you put loggers out of work, but you live in a wooden house, so you must be a jerk. To protect a small minnow, you cut off the farmer's water, so they can't grow crops to feed America's sons and their daughters. Hunting deer and elk is repugnant to you, but sending cattle to slaughter is fine because you like beef stew. You insist no new refineries for gas, but you drive a car, which just goes to show what hypocrites you are. Come home with me, cousins, I've got a project for you. The environment will be much better off if I give you something better to do." So now these envirowackos are regretting making the devil well, for they are eternally shoveling coal to stoke the fires of hell. Branding the devil.